Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Yes, again, we are going to be touching on capitalism, and folks are asking, why, Egberto, are you hitting that point? Isn't that a dangerous point for Democrats to hit? Don't touch it, Egberto, because we want to hide. We want to hide from these guys who are constantly on our case about capitalism. Oh, Egberto, please stop it. Stop it. We can't be talking about those things. Folks, you can't run from these things. You cannot run from these things. And if you continue to run from the real discussion, if you continue to run from the real argument, you get exactly what happened to El Señor John Hickenlooper, the Colorado ex-governor who is running for the presidency of the United States on the Democratic ticket. Folks, you cannot run away from talking and taking up the capitalist issue. You cannot run from taking up the progressive issues. You cannot run from any of these. We have to lean in. I wrote several articles at Daily Kos where I talked about leaning in. They have you by las pelotas, por favor. If we do not do it, if we do not lean in now, if we do not get our narrative now, we are cooked, because they sure have a narrative ready to simply call you a Venezuela, Cuba socialist. If you don't want to be dinged with the democratic socialist term, if you don't want to be dinged with a term that you know is false, if you don't want to be dinged, folks, you have to get with the program. And the program isn't about running away from telling the truth. Democrats have run away from telling the truth for too long. And when I say Democrats, I'm not talking about all Democrats, because neoliberals love it when we have these types of discussions. But folks, we have to get with the program. So I want to spend some time today. I have a video of that I'm going to show you in a little bit. This video shows what happens when we don't have our narrative together. For those that are coming, please go ahead and share this on your page right away. Share this on your page, your Twitter, your Tumblr, everywhere, please. And tell me where you're from. I want to know where you're from. Tell me what state, all that good stuff, and later on I'm going to pick that up and say, hey, we have people here from Massachusetts, people here from Appalachia, people here from all over. Because more than anything else, I need this message to go to everybody, folks. I need this message to go to everybody. So your friends must know about this message. Your friends must know that we are in it for them as well. This is not I like to say that this is not going to be a Republican Democratic thing. This is about an economic thing. And when I say an economic thing, I mean an economic thing. So go ahead and share this now. Tell your friends that we're on. Tell your friends that we are ready to go. Tell your friends that we mean business, that we are going to be out here telling the truth. We're going to be out here for them. We will be out there for them. So what is the title of the program today? The title of the program today, and let me get to the title of the program before I keep talking. Title of the program is Democrats, Be Honest About Capitalism to Avoid This fumble. Again, Democrats, do not fumble. Please, Democrats, avoid this to prevent the fumble. Avoid this to prevent the fumble. Okay, here we go. Subtitle: Joe Scarborough hammering former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper on whether he is a capitalist or if capitalism works should teach Democrats to start with the truth. Joe Scarborough had former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper on Morning Joe this morning. He asked the former governor a simple question several times. Are you a capitalist? Several times. Are you a capitalist? Hickenlooper, instead of saying yes or no, he gave convoluted answers several times, but in the end, he finally got it. And I'm going to play that whole thing in pieces as I narrate certain parts of it, because this is what, the way he expressed it at the end is the way we need to speak. The reality is that Democrats need to get their act together. They need to lead. They continue to allow Republicans to give them false choices, define them, or force them into failed conservative positions. Look, our economic system is not divine, and you hear me say that for those of you that listen to me all the time. You hear me say that all the time. Our economic system is not defined. Repeat that over, please. Our economic system is not defined. And also, what I'd like for us to remember is that we are not there to serve an economic system. The economic system is there to serve us. Remember that. We are not there to serve an economic system. The economic system is there to serve us. As such, we should not be tied to any economic system permanently or whatever. We work within an economic system until it fails, and we modify a failed economic system to support what an economic system is for, and that is for people, humanity. Nosotros las personas, nosotros que estamos vivos. That is who an economy is for. So let's not let somebody make a boogeyman out of you for saying the economic system as is not working. And if the economic system as is not working, that means that capitalism is not working. You just have to be honest about it and not fear that somebody's going to say, well, if you're not a capitalist, does that mean you're a socialist? No, but somebody like me, I will come straight out and say, no, I'm a democratic socialist. And why am I? Because I like to know the way it works in Norway, the way it works in Denver, the way it works in all these other places. And people will say, well, you're not a democratic socialist, you're really a social democrat. I don't care which direction you want to put the word in. The reason I have the word social in all the things that I spin about is I care about people. I love humanity. I love humanity, and I want humanity to do well. And the one thing that I abhor the most, the one thing that I hate the most, are people taking advantage of others. Whether it is bullies taking advantage of folks, whether it's men abusing women, whether it is capitalists abusing the people that they're supposed to be serving, whomever, whenever somebody is abused, I take heed. So here's what we want to do. I want to start showing the video now, and then we're going to go through some narration. So here we go. And I'm going to stop in between to make some comments. So here's Joe.
And you certainly were a doer when it came to business. What you talked about sounds like the American dream as far as business goes. And wow, an advertisement for American capitalism. Are you concerned about some factions of your party embracing socialism?
Okay, notice how he wants to immediately attack the Democratic Party as a monolith who all are simply good old socialists. So he wants to go ahead and make sure that Hickenlooper answers that in a particular manner, because what they're trying to do there, my friends, is make a sound bite. They're going to cut that and then cut the other. Hickenlooper didn't fall for it, but I still have some concerns with the way he answered, and here it goes.
Well, I think the Democratic Party is a big tent. And that's one of the things I've always loved about the Democratic Party is there are all kinds of ideas. You know, I look at my experiences and where I've tried to make a difference, and it really is getting people together, getting them to lay down their weapons, and then getting stuff done. And the labels, I think most Democrats don't care as much about the labels.
Well, would you call yourself a proud capitalist?
Okay. Notice he's badgering now. He just wants to get that answer. He wants to get that answer. We need to get that soundbite so that we can have it around the necks of Democrats. So he's not acquiescing quite yet. You know, he's still playing the game. So here we go.
Oh, I don't know. Again, the labels, I'm not sure any of them fit. But I do believe that, that ability to look at, climate change and figure out how are we really going to create a sense of urgency and get people together. What we did with methane is one of the worst climate pollutants that there is. And, we're the first state, and so far the only state, to really address it aggressively.
Right. Let me ask you I'll break it down even more. Do you consider yourself a capitalist?
Okay, start to see the bullying. Start to see, I want you to answer this question. I want a definite answer to this question now, right? Let's go.
Well, again, the labels, I'm a small business person, so that part of the system that you would call capitalist, I get it. I understand it. I worked very hard. When you open your own business, when we first signed the lease in lower downtown Denver to build our brew pub, it was $1 per square foot per year. I mean, that is, if you haven't ever signed one of those leases, that rent is almost free. And it reflects how bad and how abandoned that part of the community was. We worked 70, 80, 90 hours a week to build the business, and we worked with the other business owners in lower down to help them build their business. Is that capitalism? I guess. I mean, sure. So in that sense of building community, that's one way to do it, one aspect of it. It's not all that it is, right? I served on 42 nonprofit boards and committees in that same 12-year period.
Right.
Okay, so my question to everybody listening to that, why is it? Why is it that he knows what the guy is asking for? He knows what the guy is looking for. Why not give him the answer that all of us know about? Why not give him that answer, right? In other words, we know the answer, and the answer is actually pretty good for us. For Democrats, for progressive, the answer, if somebody asks you if you're a capitalist, the immediate answer is supposed to be, are you a capitalist? No. Then they are going to try to raise some sort of an issue as soon as you say, no, I'm not a capitalist. You should have an answer ready. I'll talk about the sound bites and how you handled that later on. But here we go with how he answers it correctly now.
Do you consider yourself a capitalist, and does capitalism work?
Well, I think I don't look at myself with a label. And I certainly think that small business is part of the solution. I think right now, the way capitalism is working in the United States, it's not doing what it once did. It's really not providing security and opportunity for the middle class and for poor people. And I think as a country, we need to step back and look at that and say, how do we get America back to the place it was where if you worked hard enough, no matter where you started on the economic ladder, you would have a chance to go ahead and create your own version of the American dream.
Now, that last answer, he should have given that last answer immediately after he was asked, are you a capitalist? Immediately, what he should have said is the reality we all simply know. Capitalism does not work for most people, and that is by design. Of course, you don't have to go into the technicalities of by design, like the technical portions that I would give to exactly why capitalism simply cannot work for everybody over time. But his answer was perfect. In the beginning, things were doing just fine, and people could move. There was upward mobility and all that sort of thing, but now it's not working for the vast majority of people. And if you doubt it, just look at how the income, and it's not that it's not only that we have income inequality. That is income inequality in itself is not the issue, right? Because if somebody have $100 billion and somebody else has $10 million, that person with $10 million is very happy, right? To them, they're still doing fine. They can buy just about anything that they want. After a while, the marginal increase in the value of the money that you have is negligent. In other words, somebody who has $1 billion is likely not going to spend every day anything different than he spent or she spent over if she had instead $10 billion. So it's really a false argument I mean, it's not a false argument, but the inequality argument is not as important as the argument of people not being able to make it. And the reason people are not able to make it is the reality behind why capitalism is a failure. Because in a system where we have a whole bunch of people that produce nothing, here's the deal. They produce nothing, right? Those guys that are trading bonds and stocks and so forth, and that is, people say, well, you must be look, I believe in democratic socialism, and let me define democratic socialism in this context, right? And this is Egberto's definition of democratic socialism. I am a business owner. I believe in free enterprise. I believe in free enterprise. If you have a product that you can build, bring it to market, you build it, you're free to bring it to market and do whatever you want with that product. Now, if you want to charge whatever, the market will dictate. All those things apply in free enterprise, right? But when it comes to things that concern the commons, things that concern you, your health care, power distribution, your fuel, things that you must have as a society to be mobile, to get around, to exist, your health care. All of those items should be done by the commons, should be done by we the people. We all pay for it together. The roads, we all do that together, and it comes out more advantageous. We can all afford it, though we pay it in a progressive fashion, meaning if you can afford it, great. If you can't afford it, you pay what you can afford. And that is how a real egalitarian system should work. So we have sort of a bifurcated system. Now, what we find, however, is that is not how capitalism works. The way it works is a lot different, right? First of all, I have a company. I have a software company. I am a sole proprietor of that software company. And by the way, just to let you know, that software company, for all practical purposes, is dead because I'm doing full-time activism to make things better for us all. And that is why I need folks to subscribe to our program. So I'm going to go, this time I got it on time. I'm going to go into this quick 2-minute pitch, and then I'll be right back to the program, or 1-minute pitch, and then I'm right back to the program. Folks, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on podcast, if you're watching this, I want you to please go ahead and do me a big favor. Please subscribe to our program. Go to patreon.com/politics done right. That is patreon.com/politics done right. Please become a subscriber. Our subscriptions are cheap. $1.99 to make sure that we put out truth out there, to make sure that we train people on how they should go out there and be progressives. How should they go out there and win? How do we do these things? That is what we're here for. And not only that, we're here to educate. People say, oh, if you start to tell people capitalism is bad, they're not going to vote for you because we are a capitalist country. That is almost like saying, if somebody says, I'm going to stab you, I'm going to kill you. And that's just how we are. Are you going to say, okay, stab me and kill me? Well, no. A capitalist country in the current state that we are in is a clear and present danger to you. Okay? And what it is my job. It is my job as a political activist. It's my job as a radio show host. It's my job as a vlogcaster. It is my job as a blogcaster to tell the truth. To not only tell the truth, but to give enough people this information so that they can say, when I go to vote, and when I hear Elizabeth Warren talk about we must tax the holy hell out of certain things, that I don't think, oh, that's socialism that's going to destroy this country or going to turn us into Venezuela or Cuba. I want to let you know that there are other systems out there. I want to let you know that we are not the richest country in the world on a per capita basis, meaning on a per person basis, that countries like Norway supersedes us, and that their economies are democratic socialist economies because they have both sectors of the economy. It's a democracy, you're free to do as you please, but there are certain areas that you will always have support from we the people. Healthcare, your roads, your transportation, all of that. We want an egalitarian society as well. In all these countries, They live longer. Not only do they live longer, but they pay less in the aggregate for the things that they want. They say, oh, their taxes are higher. Yeah, their taxes are higher, but they don't have to pay $12,000 a year to an insurance company. Instead, they pay $7,000 a year in taxes, right? Which is more taxes than we pay for, the Delta tax is more than we pay for them. So it is important for us to know that. So what I'm saying is, the reasons for our programs, the reason that we do this is that we have to get that message out. Anybody who subscribes to us, get immediate access to How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. That is a new book that I'm writing. I'm on chapter 2. Those 2 chapters are already posted online. If you subscribe to Politics Done Right by going to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, that is patreon.com/politics done right, you can start reading the chapter as it goes on. And guess what? If you give me ideas for the book, I will even put your name in the book, with your permission, of course, with whatever it is that you want. By the way, we also have on that place, we have As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. That's a book that I've written several years ago. It is it is very valuable. It teaches you how our system really works. And it'll help you understand why the system is the way it is and why you will never be able to move forward. Several days ago, I did a blog post called Whatever the Market Would Bear. Whatever the market would bear is one of the reasons why you will never, the average American citizen that doesn't own a company, the average American citizen that is not rewarded with owning a whole lot of stocks, you will never, ever get out of your situation. You will always be paying more and getting poor. And every raise that you get will be taken back because there are so many of the small minority who controls business in this country. There's something called Whatever the Market Will Bear, and they'll take it all from you. So please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Support a program that is going to enlighten us all to make sure that we start voting in our interest. Okay, that's it for my pitch for now. I'll do another pitch a little bit later, but here's the deal. We have to stop being... Don't ask me why anytime I am about to start the show or I'm on the show, sometime some person decides to call on Skype, which is one of our transports for communication. But that's okay. We got rid of that. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. As Democrats, as progressives, as thinking Republicans, when we are starting to look at the debate, when we are starting to look at the discussion, it is imperative that we do not allow these charlatans to tell us what we must believe, how we must think, etc. What the information that I'm telling you, the things that I'm telling you here, I am not asking you to take me at face value at all. I'm giving you the info. You can research it as well. I don't want you to go out there and think, oh, what you're telling me couldn't be right. No, I want you to go research it yourself. And also, if you're listening right now and you've never called in, we have great calls. So give me a call at 646-716-5812. Let's get you on air if you have some questions that I haven't answered. And a lot of times it works out better if you have a specific question that you want to ask, maybe something that you think I am wrong about that maybe we can go over and explain. I would love for you to give us a call at 646-716-5812. I want to tell you something. I'm looking for that video right now, but we've been played, and the media is also complicit in this capitalism debate. With Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and many others, including Ilhan Omar, everybody wants, anytime you say the word Ilhan Omar, they want you to believe that she's talking about some anti-Semitic thing. Yesterday, I played the entire segment in which these people cut a clip to make it seem like Ilhan Omar was anti-Semitic. I know I'm veering off a little bit off of capitalism, but I'm not. I'm going to explain to you why. The truth of the matter is, she never did such. In fact, what she did in that entire debate or entire discourse was to show how all these issues were connected, including student debt, capitalism, corporate taking advantage of folks. She put that all together, and that is their biggest fear. Their biggest fear is that we have somebody now who is talking, somebody who is able to articulate it all in a fashion that everybody understands. And if people start to understand exactly what's being done to them, right? If people start to realize that, wait a minute, is that how it really works? Are we really getting conned? I'll tell you what happened today. I did a video earlier today with Chuck Todd, and I thought I had placed it on this system here, but evidently I left it on my other system, so I'm not going to be able to play it for you today or play it for you right now. If I could have, I should have put it on this other network here. But Chuck Todd, and I'll just relate what he said. Chuck Todd went out there and he said, it's time for I'm taking a station break because we are capitalists here. And a lot of people say, oh, that's a simple statement that Chuck said, we are capitalists here. But earlier in the discussion, they were talking about Democrats moving to the left. And you have to ask your question, what does it mean when all these networks are starting to say, they bring on all these Republicans, all these pseudo-Republicans, all these neoliberal Democrats, and they're saying, we have to start moving to the center. We have to start moving to the center. We can't be talking about Medicare for all. We cannot be talking about pay-it-forward college. We cannot be talking about having daycare for kids. We cannot be talking about all those giveaways. Who's going to pay for it? Huh? You know, I don't remember which one of our newcomers said it. I have a hunch it was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, whenever we are going to war, whenever we're going if something happens and we decide we want to invade a country, we don't first ask, how much is this going to cost us? We look at it as are the politicians who want to go to war make it an existential reason for going to war. In other words, if we don't do this, we will die, or they will invade, or something bad would happen. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that having Americans dying on the grounds, having Americans without health care and getting diseased, having Americans die early, why is it that we don't see that as existential? Why is it that we don't see that as an issue as well that's hurting people? Why is it that it isn't a big problem? Why is it that it isn't an act against humanity of the way that we do it? It should be. It should be. So going back to our topic at hand, Democrats. Republicans are intent on first equating every Democrat as being a socialist, and they like to take off the Democratic Socialists off of it. I really don't care. So that's how they're going to equate it. We have a lot of Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren. I hope this was a slip when she just said, I'm a capitalist. If you're a capitalist, Elizabeth Warren, I can't vote for you. And the reason why is I can't vote for somebody who is voting, who believes in a system that's killing their people. And I don't say that lightly. I honestly do not say that lightly. We have a system, our health insurance system is nothing more than capitalism on steroids. And it is, in fact, killing people. If we adopted Medicare for all, a democratic socialist tenet, by definition, because everyone is insured, by definition, because we have a single payer, which means we take the charlatans out, the people who make money from doing absolutely nothing other than paying a bill, we have that much more money and that less cost in the system. We save lives. The only reason we are not doing it today is because of what we have called stakeholders. The stakeholders in our healthcare system are the hospitals, the drug companies, the doctors, nurses, etc., and the insurance companies. And of all of those, the two most evil, and I don't say that without backing, the two most evil ones are the drug companies and the insurance companies. And if anybody wants the specifications to why we make that assessment, it is not at all hard. When we have a drug, and I have a lot of new listeners, so some of you would have heard this before, but I want to have this for the new listeners. And it goes as follows. When you have a drug that has not changed in 100 years, insulin, and it has gone in the last, I don't know, 15 years, 10, 15 years or whatever, from $21 to $300, that is not only thuggery, not only thievery, that is a clear and present danger to your health. When you have diabetic persons taking less medicine or no medicine because they cannot afford it, a drug that is not patented any longer, or a hormone, and they simply charge a price because they can get the money for it. Remember what I said earlier. It is called whatever the market will bear. The reasons why Americans will never, ever, ever get wealthy. The average American, those who don't have stocks, those who don't have companies, those who don't have pricing power, will never, ever be able to accumulate wealth. Here's how the system works, and you know it so. You go into your job, you get a raise, and fine, you get your raise. But in general, the people who have pricing power, they take it immediately away from you. If you notice, you get a raise, your health cost goes up, and other costs go up, generally enough or more to take away what raise you got. It is a cycle of transferring money from the masses, from the vast majority of the people, to the very wealthy few. And you ask yourself, well, it really can't be so, Egberto. It just cannot be so. The numbers tell you that. That is the definition of how we get income and wealth inequality. The reason others can build so much wealth in a system that is growing at 2 to 3% and their wealth growing by 7, 10% or more is to take it from you. Those of you who are with me all of the times hear me say this all the time. It is something that I must repeat, just like Republicans repeat their lies over and over and over to give them the semblance of reality, to give them the semblance of truth. We repeat the truth over and over and over to react to the lies that have the risk of metastasizing in your minds. So folks, it is imperative. It is imperative that we understand that. It's imperative that we understand that when you hear folks try to badger the word capitalism like Chuck Todd did. Oh, we are going for a station break now because we are capitalists here. Or when you have a Joe Scarborough hammer into John Hickenlooper, are you a capitalist? Are you a capitalist? Trying to force him to just come out and say, yes, I'm a capitalist. I'm not like those crazies in my party. I am a capitalist. The good thing is that he refused to say it once. And the reason why is anyone who's admitting to be a capitalist of today is admitting to be a murderer. I say that not, and I am not biting my tongue when I say that. Some of you would be some of the people would be knowing murderers, but some will be unknowing murderers. What I mean is by not having understood the concept of how the system works, it is easy to just believe the flack that you hear based on the Powell Manifesto that, oh, this system is okay. I understand what's going on here. Everybody can succeed. It is easy to understand that if you believe in the fallacy of capitalism the way it is. However, if you understand the truth of what's happening, if you don't put your head in the sand and you see the reality of what happens, if you see the skewing of the data, if you see that we cannot do healthcare because we have to take into the account that the executive of an insurance company needs to make his $80 million. And by the way, whenever you see the executives of these corporations making these millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, remember whose money that is. Remember, all the monies that go into an insurance company are the premiums that you pay. So therefore, whenever you watch that CEO walk off with hundreds of millions of dollars, remember that is just your money going into his big house, his vacations, his stock options, and all these things as you work and as you have to beg them to give you service at a hospital because your insurance company will try to deny as much as they can to maximize the profit for their executives and their shareholders. You can't even blame the people who work for the insurance companies because they don't have any power either. They're just the peons, right? That's all they are. They are just the peons. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go see if I have any messages here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go to the website and see if anybody's asking questions. But at the same time, I would love to hear if some of you would give me a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. 1-2. What I'm going to do is bring up my app now and see if I can get some messages out here. But folks, I need you to not only understand this yourself, but I beg of you to relay this story. I beg of you to be bold. I beg of you to not cower into believing that somehow, I don't want you to cower into believing that somehow you have to appease these people. You know, they're boisterous. Oh, they have to come out in favor of capitalism. And if you talk against capitalism, you are anti-American. You are most American. Let me tell you, you are most American whenever you go ahead and talk about saving Americans. You are least of an American when you knowingly cause harm to your brothers and sisters. Let's remember that. It is imperative that we remember that. We are definitely Americans when we make sure and support our people. So anyhow, let me go ahead and start reading this. Let's see, where do I start? That's 33 minutes, and that is 1 minute. Okay, here we go. Sally Salas, funny you mentioned Hickenlooper. He is obviously a corporate-owned Democrat. I am not going to first of all, I have a blog that is pending, and it's funny because it's been pending for 3 days, saying why I will not vote for Hickenlooper and why I think he should get out of the race already. But, and the reason I wrote that is that he went on, and I don't remember whose show it was on, and he said he does not support Medicare for all. He said, what are all those people who have private insurance going to do? There are already people who love their private insurance, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. For which I wanted to tell him, you teach the people that the insurance that we are proposing is better than their private insurance because they won't have deductibles, they won't have co-pays, they won't have all these other options. Anyway, I'm going to the phones now. Let's see. 209, you're hot.
Hi, Egberto. It's Sally here.
Hey, Sal, I just read something you wrote on the blog page.
Yes. And it's so funny that you mentioned Hickenlooper today because one of my friends had posted an old article. This is from 2013, and I put it in the feed there.
Great.
About Hickenlooper won't tolerate cities and towns that ban oil and gas drilling within their borders, and he promised to take them down or take them to court.
See what I'm talking about?
And that right there just shows what a capitalist he is.
Exactly.
He's not concerned about his environment, the environment of the state. No, he wants big oil to make money. And when you mentioned the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies being the biggest, we've got to throw big oil in there too. They're the biggest parasites because they're destroying the land while they're making their profits.
Absolutely. But you know what is so interesting, Sally? It's so interesting that the oil companies, they feel that they have a right to all of this. And what they're doing is they're using resources that really should belong to us all. All those resources offshore, all those resources on public land. In fact, I will wager that even the resources on private land should really be, the commons should belong to us all. The people and all the profits after expenses and some sort of maybe a little bit of profit should be ours. I mean, period. I don't see why.
Especially on public lands, as you said, yes.
Exactly. So I cannot understand why a lot of people tolerate that we can get we can be so pilfered as a people. But we've learned to accept that. We've learned that it is okay. And what I'm trying to do with this program, Sally, as well, is to tell folks that you won't accept somebody ripping you off. Your friends, you won't accept ripping you off. Why will you then accept some unknown false entity, a corporation, to rip you off?
Precisely.
You know, why would you do that? So let me stay with me, Sally. Let me say some other things that are on there. We have Bobby Jean, who said, what we have now is corporate socialism, and we want democratic socialism. You hit it on the nose, Bobby. Yeah, we already have socialism. It's just for the wrong people. And Bobby says, attack them back. Sally, the wonderful woman on air. The label that fits you, Hickenlooper, is corporate owned. Then we have, let's see, Bobby Jean again says, we need to demonize corporate socialism, far right back with government subsidies. And you know, that is such a smart statement, Bobby, that if you read my article that's going to be at the Daily Coast on Sunday, this Sunday, I guess good minds think alike, Bobby, because if you go on dailycoast.com, my article on if we want to stop these guys from attacking us as socialists, we need to demonize that which really needs to be demonized, and that is capitalism. And that is what the article is going to be about. I think they have it ready for posting at 6 or so Central. I think that's the time it is at Daily Coast that the article is going to pop up. So check that out. Get out to dailycoast.com. And by the way, I'm a contributor to dailycoast.com too. I write articles every Sunday there. That's on their front page. Okay, let's see what else we have. Sally, you've been active. This democratic socialist has nothing.
I have.
I love it. This democratic socialist has nothing but disdain for capitalists and capitalism. And you know what? They brought that on to themselves because they have proven how profane they are. How profane they are. Anyhow, okay, Yolanda was being nice with me, and she placed the Patreon on one of the screens. It is actually Patreon with an E. P-A-T-R. Let me write it in there right now. It's http:// Patreon is patreon.com/politics. And trying to look at the screen and type at the same time. Politics done right. I think that is it now. There we go. That is the right one. Anyhow, folks, we need you. That gives me a good reason to go and ask one more time. I forgot. I always forget about doing this. Okay, folks, please remember, Politics Done Right, it needs your support. Please go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. It's not Patreon, but Patreon. Patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Anybody who subscribes now has full access to the new book that I'm writing, How to Make America Utopia. I have the first 2 chapters out. I'm working on the 3rd chapter. As I release chapters, it will be online. You can read it. And, of course, when the book is complete, you get a full copy of the book. But guess what? The other book is already complete, and the entire book is online, and it is called, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And guess what? That book has... It teaches you about patent and how the patent system was used to really rip us off. It teaches us about how the different parts of our economy has screwed us. It even teaches us about the defense industrial complex compared to the rest of the world and what it is doing for us. Please go ahead and subscribe. Our subscription starts as low as $1.99. And you know what? If you want to be more generous, you can. If you don't want to be that generous, that's fine. And if you just want to give a contribution, please go to politicsdoneright.com. And you can go to our PayPal button and go ahead and subscribe there. Just hit any one of the donate buttons or whatever, and we'll take good care of you. But please, folks, we need your support to keep this on the air. We're supposed to be going to Netroots Nation. We're supposed to be going to D.C. to do some interviews. There are a whole lot of things that we want to go ahead and get done, but we need your help. We need your support so that we can make sure to inform Americans, so that we can make educated voting decisions. And with that, we go back to the program. Sally, let's see. We have Deborah Ann Borgen, who said, Northern Europe democratic socialism has capitalism and public facilities. It is a blended system. We have the police, fire, public schools, and social services. That is a blended system. You're correct, Deborah. She also says, okay, look up the definition of a capitalist. It is a wealthy person who uses money to invest in trade and industry for profit in accordance with the principles of capitalism. We all can't be a capitalist, and you can have a blended system with capitalism. We have a blended system, public and private. You're absolutely correct, Deborah. I tell you one thing. It was interesting because yesterday I gave another definition as well, but let me go ahead and bring in another person. That is a Skype caller. Come on in, my good friend. Come on in.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
My good friend as well, to Egberto Willis. You know, the fruits of Donald Trump for United States of America was political chaos. Number two, Sexgate, with the two Playboy girls and hash money, etc. And Donald Trump fruits for this United States of America was banning 7 nations to enter to this beloved country.
Right.
I mean, refugees as well too from Latin America. I mean, and religious division and hate crime is rising in United States of America.
Right.
I mean, I can count more, but these are the 5 major, at least I wanted to share with you today, my dear friend.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, you know, you are correct, sir. But you know what we have to do, and I think Sally has alluded to a whole lot of this already. What we have to do is we have to be ready to inform. But what I want most importantly for people to do, what happens is this. You get into a crowd, right? I am in crowds all of the times, and I would be in a space all of the times. And, you know, everybody, there's this stuff called peer pressure that we have to be very, very cognizant of. You go into a space, let's say I'm at Starbucks, and there are 10 people we're sitting down having a conversation, just talking. And then the subject goes on to capitalism, and you'd hear somebody say, and I can't believe that guy said he's not a capitalist. And, you know, then everybody would go, as if, oh my God, he said something that is so wrong. Who will be bold? Because it takes, you know how dominoes fall? You have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Right? You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Because everybody is scared to make that move. I've been always a tough head my entire life, from high school, elementary school. Anybody who tells you about me will tell you that, you know, I have no fear when it comes to these things. And and most of the times, I really don't even care if folks are going to like you or not. Everybody wants to be that, you know, try to make sure that they do right by everybody, wants to be liked, because, you know, but the thing about it is you should try. I shouldn't say you never do. You try to build enough rapport with yourself that you don't have to fear being the contrarian. And in these spaces, many times, I am the contrarian. I will come out and say, no, capitalism doesn't function. Now, capitalism built some huge buildings. I mean, if you go downtown Houston, it's one of the best looking skylines in the world. And that is the results of capitalism. If you look at a lot of big buildings and big stadiums and all, well, a lot of the stadiums are now socialism, but a lot of these other things are capitalism, right? And people want to say, well, if there wasn't capitalism, you wouldn't have all those big buildings downtown and you wouldn't have this and that. And my question to most of these people is usually simple. It is pretty to look at all those big buildings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But how many of you qualify or have the wherewithal or can enter those big buildings capitalism built? How many of you can do that? And the answer is very, very few. And I'm going to be putting you back on in a little bit, Sally. And it's very, very few. So what we've learned to do is we've learned to admire. We have learned to admire all these great big things built on the backs of many other people and try to accept it as ours. When the real people who are able to benefit from these things are the very finite few, right? Very few people are able to benefit from all of that. And in the process, hurt us
Only
all.
few people can go.
Right.
Exactly.
So what capitalism has built, we have all built it. And, we sit down and revel as if it's ours. It's not. Capitalism belongs to a very distinct few. You are just peons in the system. You just build for them. And then they enjoy the spoils. And if you are lucky, and this is something else that I tell people, right? I have a software company. I'm going to start using I had a software company because I've allowed it to die to do full-time activism. And in that software company, because I own this company, I had what's called pricing power. I decided how much my product cost. And the one thing I did as I extrapolated things and why a lot of times there was a time I reduced prices of licenses, I realized something. Hey, I was a part of the problem as well, right? Because as those of us who have pricing power price things higher, that doesn't get paid by the company who's buying it from you. Ultimately, it permeates all through the chain until it gets to the last person on the totem pole, which is the average consumer, the masses. So I am extracting from the masses based on my pricing power. It's not an honest system, right? I mean, it's a necessary system in some regards, but it's not honest. Go ahead.
Yeah, proprietary software versus open source software.
Yeah, so private software. Yeah, mine was private software.
Yeah. Capitalism, Microsoft is a proprietary software. All the Microsoft loves open source.
Right.
I mean, the number 2 vice president, big man, Satya,
right.
He said, Microsoft loves open source. I mean, people can Google it and find out. YouTube it. But the question is, yes, that's exactly capitalism. I mean, why? In this country, we don't teach history of other countries.
Right.
That's the problem, my dear friend. I mean, people from other countries come. They speak 3-4 languages, a minimum, if not more. And, they have seen, for example, European Union or Canada, even next our neighbor. I mean, their roads looks like clear. I mean, your car, trucks, it doesn't shake. But in United States, from Chicago to everywhere you go in United States, I mean, the roads are damaged.
Yeah, we are falling
infrastructure. Apart. Bridges are falling apart.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, it's already happened. I mean, how many more we have to witness to say, hey, enough is enough.
Absolutely.
We need to spend money for the people and for the infrastructure of this beloved country. Otherwise, we are finished.
Okay, Mike, let me get Sally in because I'm going to have to close the show out in a little bit, and I want to give a little monologue at the end of the show. So, Sally, anything else you have to add before we go ahead and close this baby out?
Oh, yes. Since we're speaking of capitalists, let's mention what's her name, Kylie Jenner, who they're trying to say is a self-made billionaire, which people with any critical thinking know that she is not a self-made billionaire.
But my question, that just shows the disease that is capitalism. Okay. My question to you
and
is...
it shows that capitalism is not attainable for most of us.
Right, and
only the elite few.
Right, what did she produce? Please tell me.
You tell me. I don't know. Other than
headlines,
being an icon, or what is that? An influencer.
Right.
I really don't understand how a lot of this crap is happening these days. The only reason Kylie Jenner is a billionaire is because these young girls look up to her and spend their money on her makeup.
Right. What it is also, Sally, it is mental control, indoctrination, all that good stuff, all those things that are dangerous to humanity. In other words, it's mind control. All of that plays a part in it. But that is what we're going to say. But look, thank you so kindly, Mike, for calling. Thank you so kindly, Sally, for calling.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Egberto.
Absolutely. So let me close.
Thanks, Mike. You guys have a great weekend.
You too. Now let me close this.
You too.
Let me close this out down with saying a few things before I go into my last pitch. I want to ask all our listeners of one huge favor. I want you. In other words, it's mind. Okay, let me see. Okay, there we go. I want to ask my listeners to do one important thing. You know, we can complain and complain and complain and complain. That's not enough. I want to urge you to actually be involved. And how do you get involved? First of all, yeah, there's this stuff about always call. You know, we all know what is right. When things happen, you know, we should be calling right now for Ilhan Omar. We should be calling Nancy Pelosi's office nonstop and say, stop allowing the right wing to falsely accuse this woman of anti-Semitism. Jews like Bernie Sanders, Jews like many others who write for The Nation's magazine just says, the reality is this woman, and they're using this woman as a scapegoat, and the reason why is they know the power of her narrative. If you go to the show that we did yesterday, you'd see the power of her narrative when you don't take her in sound bites. Same with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all these others. We have to first and foremost have the backs of these young progressives, and the reason why is the mainstream media, the parties, they are out to destroy them because they are going to change the natural order of our politics. And the natural order of our politics does need to be changed. It needs to be changed to protect you. It needs to be changed to make sure that you don't remain that indentured servant that most of us are working towards being. So we have to start somewhere. So marching orders. Flood the telephone lines of Nancy Pelosi. Make sure that they know we won't tolerate them attacking our new progressives that are out there. Those young progressives that are really doing things. If you take a look at all the questions that they're asking those guys, it would seem like they are the seasoned ones on these congressional committees, on these congressional committees. They sound like the seasoned ones. The others are walking around the issues, not to seem anti-capitalist. So folks, flood those lines. Secondly, the second thing I'm begging you to do is to please do not stay quiet. If you're in a grocery store, if you're at a coffee shop and you hear something silly, don't go in there and say, oh, that is stupid or anything like that. Go in there and say, sir, you know, or ma'am, let me give you another narrative. And just please hear me out. And some of the things that we discussed there, nicely, talk to them about it. And when they object to it, just say, well, I just wanted to plant that seed. I just wanted you to know that. And then leave. Because in as much as you may not change them there, you would have planted a seed that forces them, if they're a thinking person, to think a little bit deeper than the surface that they're thinking with from, let's say, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, or the others. Because that's what we want to do here. We want to go deeper. We want folks to think about why it is that even as these people are praising our system today, the system continues to maim, the system continues to kill, the system continues to impoverish. We want to make a difference. The difference is not going to be made for us. We are the ones who are going to have to go out there. And the last thing is now my pitch. please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is P as in person, ATREON.com/politicsdoneright. That is PATREON.com/politicsdoneright. Subscribe to our show. You have a whole lot of gimmies. And by the way, anybody who wants a Politics Done Right sticker, just drop me a line. Subscribe, drop me a line and say, hey, I want a Politics Done Right sticker. It's pretty cute. I should have had it right here on the desk so I could show you what it is. A Politics Done Right sticker. I'm going to be looking for some Politics Done Right mugs, etc., etc., etc. So please, folks, we need your support. Remember, you get the book, How to Make America Utopia, which is on chapter 2, but we post it as we go. And, of course, this book is already there. As I see it, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, is already online. The entire book you can read online. Look, I appreciate all of you who are listening to the show. I love you all. We have to do this together. We must do this together. This is not a 1-year project. This is not a 2-year project. Look, I knew that. I didn't give up a software company thinking that it's going to take a year because, hey, then I'm behind in something. No. This is a multi-year project that we are going to have to do here because change is not going to come easy, but I am committed to be a part of the change, my small part, and there are many others that are doing it, and we'd like to enlist others to do this as well. So please support us. http://patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. My name is Egberto Willies, and I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.